Hello and welcome to Brodual. This time we're transforming Skyrim into a dark fantasy. This is a new series we're trying out where we compile around a dozen or so mods and then try to transform Skyrim into a certain style or aesthetic. This time we're aiming for a dark fantasy, choosing mods that adjust the visuals to show a more grim and gloomy atmosphere, while also putting emphasis on the game's darker themes. To get there we used 12 different mods, most of which change the world visually with adjustments to the landscape, lighting and more. We wanted things to be gloomy with elements of horror, while still keeping things relevant to the world of Skyrim. During the video the only mods used will all be shown or linked in the description below. We aren't going to go into super detail on each individual mod, but instead give you a quick overview of what they do and why they're in the collection. The mods shown in the video can all be used together without any compatibility issues. And because we kept compatibility with other mods in mind too, you'll also be able to use it alongside most other mods. So as long as your mods aren't focusing on the same things, they should work fine. It's also safe to use alongside Requiem and Percus Maximus. So with that out of the way, let's remove all of the mods and send us straight back to vanilla. First up and the absolute base for the transformation is the Skyrim Dark Fantasy Overhaul. This is a fantastic mod by AceQ that transforms Skyrim's landscape. As we switch from vanilla, you'll immediately notice the new trees and other environmental assets. If we head into the marshlands, you'll notice more diverse Morrowind style flora. The mod was designed to work alongside the Skyrim Flora Overhaul, which is another landscape mod with diversity in mind. The mod drastically changes each region's biome so there's more variety in the flora. The trees are the first thing you'll notice, but the mod actually changes pretty much all types of flora, from the shrubbery to the grass. The two mods work together extremely well, so we recommend you install both for the best outcome. On the Dark Fantasy Overhaul's mod page, you can also check the author's recommended mods that mostly focus on textures or other specific areas like the mountains or snow. Another important part of the overall look is our ENB. We've decided to go with the Bleak ENB, which was designed for a darker and more gloomy Skyrim. In the video we're using the performance version with ENB Boost, which only lowers our FPS by about 8, which isn't too much given the effect it has on the game. The game is less saturated in general, but there's still a decent amount of colour in the daytime. It also makes the night significantly darker, and you'll probably need to carry a light source if you're adventuring at night. The lighting also works wonders alongside the trees added by the Dark Fantasy Overhaul, and it gives off a very eerie feel at night and in certain weathers. You don't have to go with an ENB if your PC can't handle it, but it definitely has a big impact on the end result. You can also try removing the depth of field and a few other intensive effects to improve performance. For our water we'll add realistic water too, but you can actually use any popular water overhaul. So if you prefer pure water or the water overhaul, then go ahead and use those. For our weather we're going to use Climates of Tamriel. The reason for that is because we also want to use the Supreme and Volumetric Fog mod, which comes with a patch to make both work together. Climates of Tamriel adds hundreds of new weather systems to the game for more diversity across the climates, coming with new visuals and sound effects to complete the entire package. It also seems to be more fantasy oriented when compared to Pure Weathers, which even describes itself as a mod that strives for realism. The Supreme and Volumetric Fog mod simply changes the fog weathers to create a more dramatic effect to the likes of which you can see on screen now. This works well with the ENB and the new landscape, and makes adventuring a little more spooky. And that's it for our main visual mods. You can already see the dramatic effect it has on the game, and we're only using 5 mods and 1 ENB. Going completely off visuals and onto audio, we recommend the Fantasy Soundtrack project. This is another mod by AceQ and it fits in perfectly with his Dark Fantasy Overhaul. The mod adds over 12 hours of new music to the game. This includes over 200 orchestral and instrumental fantasy tracks for all areas of the game. There's 160 tracks for exploring and around a dozen tracks each for towns, taverns, castles and dungeons. The mod even adds new tracks for the Dawnguard and Dragonborn DLC. The music fits in well and you can hear it faintly in the background of the video. But just so you can get a better idea of what to expect, here's a taster. That's just a small sample of what you'll hear in game. The range of the track spreads all across the fantasy genre, so it fits in perfectly for our theme. The only other audio mod in the collection is the audio overhaul for Skyrim 2. This is a mod that changes pretty much all other aspects of sound in the game, apart from the background music. For a full and clear view of what to expect, we suggest you check out our full 8-minute spotlight on the mod, where we show before and afters from several examples. The main reason why it's in our collection is because it helps pull you away from vanilla Skyrim and makes the game feel fresh and new. The sounds themselves are also fantastic, and it's a mod we'd just recommend in general. The next few mods all aim to highlight the darker areas of the game. Luckily, Skyrim has plenty of dread and gloominess to draw from, even though they aren't highlighted as much in vanilla. First up is the Honoured Dead. This is a mod that adds dozens of encounters and reminders that Skyrim is a province plagued by an ongoing civil war. So as you explore and travel the roads, you'll encounter plenty of evidence of the carnage. Sometimes you'll stumble upon groups of dead men and women that neither side has yet to collect. Other times you'll witness captured soldiers strung by their neck across certain outposts, as a constant reminder to the player in both factions about who controls the area. Sometimes they also come with a backstory via notes or other clues, so it really pulls you into the conflict. It's a fantastic mod and it fits in perfectly for our dark theme. Another mod we recommend is Clean Up Your Corpses. This lets you select from a variety of options to dispose of the bodies around Skyrim. It works great alongside the Honour Your Dead mod, and as you learn how certain soldiers died, you can decide how best to deal with their remains. Do they deserve to be burnt on a spike or honourably buried near their home city? That's for you to decide. The mod of course isn't limited to burying soldiers, and in fact opens up many other options for handling the bodies of any once living creature. You can burn a whole pile of bodies instantly, you can bury a friend or loved one with a ceremony in a major city, or if you're a true sadist then you can nail some children's dog to a tree in front of their very eyes. How dark the mod goes is entirely up to the player, which is why it's in our collection. Combat is a big part of Skyrim. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, you're either on your way to talk to someone or bash their head in. We don't actually recommend any combat mods that change the difficulty, but we do recommend you install a blood mod. We'll add enhanced blood textures, but really it's up to you. Enhanced blood textures does a lot more than the name suggests. It also adds a bleeding effect that occurs when you're hit or when you're low health. The amount of blood is also dynamic and depends on how much damage is dealt. The mod also adds body spasms when you decapitate or finish with a kill move, which is a small touch but it works well. And finally, it's all customizable and can be molded to your liking. A lot of other dark fantasy games come with some sort of mutilation system, so for that we recommend the Deadly Mutilation mod. Decapitation is included in vanilla, but this mod lets you mutilate your enemy in a variety of other ways depending on the weapon you carry and the move you execute. So if you're using a warhammer and you strike them in the head, you can crush them, or if you're using a sword you can chop off their arm or slice them in two, as blood and guts fly everywhere. It also works with destruction magic too, with each element destroying the body in a unique way. So you can burn them into an unidentifiable corpse, or freeze them and smash them into smithereens. It's a fun mod, although it might be a little gory for some people. The mutilations also won't work if the NPC is wearing a modded armor set, so that might be an issue. And that's it for our collection. From here you have a whole bunch of different options. You can build on it with smaller mods that maybe change the dungeons or the undead. For that you might want to check out our Halloween special from last year, which includes several scary mods. Another option you have is to go more into the fantasy side of things and make use of the monster mod, which adds over 100 new creatures and monsters to the game. But ultimately it's up to you. We always get requests on what mods we're using in our videos, but for this one the only mods used were the ones highlighted in the video. So if you want your game to look exactly like this, then just go ahead and install every single one of them. Absolutely everything you need can be found in the description below, and as always be sure to leave an endorsement on any mod you enjoy, and thanks for watching.